Hey guys, Sedin here, and today I'll be answering this question of why is it that you attracted a toxic relationship even if your childhood was okay or your childhood you didn't experience any form of trauma when you were a child? Because one of the common questions people ask is my childhood was okay, my parents took care of me well, my parents loved me, but still I attracted toxic relationships. I think there's a misconception here, like you have to have undergone a traumatic experience in the past for you to be in a toxic relationship. No, that's just a general misconception. Anyone can be in a toxic relationship. And then another thing is the fact that you don't remember your childhood, any extreme childhood negative experience doesn't mean that you didn't have negative experiences in childhood. And this video I'm going to be explaining to you why you still attracted toxic relationships, or why you feel that you don't remember your past childhood negative experiences. So the first reason actually is the thing which makes you attract toxic relationships is still your early relationships, like the early relationships you experience with your caregivers, with the adults in your life. Yes, the relationships may not have been that traumatic, but those relationships actually taught you something about relationships. They might have taught you that a relationship where, like, let's say a man is controlling or a woman is very submissive is now the kind of relationship to be in. So, when you are programmed or conditioned to believe that a relationship where you are controlled, so this is not abuse, but it's a relationship where, like, there's someone who's overly controlling and then there's someone who's overly submissive. So it's just normal. But now what happens is when you grow up in that kind of environment, you tend to associate feeling of a stable relationship with control. So what happens now is when you find someone who is controlling, very controlling, you will tend to think that that person really loves you so much. A person who is controlling to your finances, controlling to your time, controlling to what you wear, you might associate that as love. And that's how you enter into toxic relationship territory. So you are not traumatized, but those relationships in your past also set a low standard for you. And this low standard is making you susceptible to controlling relationships or overbearing kind of people. And that's how you find yourself in the far end of a toxic relationship, because you associate control as a sign of love. Yeah, that's one reason. Like, those early relationships still molded how you view relationship. The other thing is these early relationships as well might have influenced or made you feel, or might have influenced your knowledge on boundaries. You see, boundaries, I talked about it yesterday. Boundaries are these limits you put in place to safeguard your own well-being. So if your caregivers never taught you about boundaries or never made you to feel responsible for yourself, responsible for your own well-being, responsible for your own mental health, so what happens is, because they didn't teach you that, you let people walk over you. You let people use you for their own needs. So a toxic relationship begins when someone crosses those boundaries. Someone steps on what you're not supposed to tolerate. So when you don't know, like, or have clear guidelines on acceptable behavior because you were not taught, you didn't learn from your caregivers or from the adults in your life, of course you'll attract toxic relationships, because there's someone who will come to your life and you'll find yourself even voluntarily doing things which you're not supposed to do to them. You might find yourself, like, voluntarily, like, let's say, constantly, like, giving them countless chances, or constantly, like, listening to their lies, because you don't have limits, you don't have ultimatums, you don't even know about it. You might find yourself, let's say, constantly taking in the emotional abuse or the verbal abuse, because you don't really know what you are not supposed to tolerate from other people, or you don't really know what's best for your own well-being. So it was not a traumatic environment, those early relationships. Like, you didn't experience any childhood trauma in quotes, but you don't know your boundaries. You are just someone who let people walk in and walk away. It's like I mentioned in the past, it's like being this supermarket where someone can just come in and take something and go. So without these boundaries, A toxic person comes into your life, uses you, and then leaves. And actually, one thing with toxic people is they love using people who don't understand their boundaries or who can't assert their boundaries. Assertiveness is another thing. You were not also taught to be assertive, to tell someone, hey, I can't do that, or hey, that's not me, or that's you crossing my line. So the environment was not traumatic, but because of this boundarylessness, you let people who are toxic into your life. Another instance is the fact that you didn't experience severe abuse doesn't mean that you did not experience emotional abuse. You see, we mistaken trauma as something which is so severe, like maybe someone beat you up, maybe physical abuse or sexual abuse. No, even basic emotional neglect, like emotional neglect, which is like, let's say your parents neglected your needs of validation, attention, or love. Let's say they were so busy at work, or they were buying you gifts instead of holding you or cuddling you. Like they were buying you gifts to supplement their lack of presence in your life. So when you just cry, they buy you a gift. When you just do something, they buy you a gift instead of showing you love, showing you care through touch, or just talking to you. So when when you live life instead that your parents are expressing love through like external things, superficial things, instead of through their humanly kind of love, of course you'll tend to associate love with superficial things. So you're young, and the thing we do when we're young is we learn from what we see and what we receive. So your emotional needs were not met, and then when those emotional needs were not met, you tend to equate these two: feeling of low self-worth and feeling of undeserving of healthy kind of love. So someone might come into your life and call and talk to shower you with your words of affection, like gifts, and then you might associate that that person loves you because you lack this deep security within yourself. The foundation was built with external things as a show of love. So a manipulative person will come with this package of, I will take you to this place, I will take you to, I don't know if it's Bali or Maldives, I don't know where, I'll just make your life amazing. So because you are used to this shallow kind of love, or this shallow kind of gratification, or this shallow kind of extrinsic happiness, you'll follow along with them because all your life has just been shallow. So you'll just tend to follow along with the superficial things in life. So of course toxic people will use that very well, and you know what happens during the love bombing phase of these toxic relationships. Like they come with this package, with this Trojan horse, this amazing gifts, and then later on they manipulate you. So you attract toxic relationships because your life lacks depth, because the caregivers in your life didn't teach you about depth. Yeah, another thing also about emotional neglect is when you are neglected emotionally as a child. And mostly parents may do this unconsciously because they don't know about it. They might be so busy with work, and they might feel like, let me just delegate this child to the house help or just to someone to take care of them. So when you are neglected, you will develop these feelings of you are unworthy of love, or you must do this to get love. And when you develop these feelings of unworthy of love, unconsciously you will attract people who view you as unworthy of love. That's why you'll attract toxic relationships. And actually, emotional neglect is just another form of abuse. It can be unconscious, but it's another form of trauma. It's another form of adverse childhood experience. So you might think that everything was okay, they were providing for you, but in some sense, your parents still unconsciously did not provide for everything or did not cater for all your emotional needs. That's why you attract toxic relationships. So, in some sense, all these things happens to everyone, like boundarylessness, like these. Your parents may not cater for emotional needs fully because of normal circumstances. Yeah, so that's why you might attract a healthy relationship, not because you don't, and even if you don't remember your past traumatic experiences, or even if you didn't experience any form of severe trauma. Another thing is also the fact that you don't remember, because something about this trauma, another misconception is we have to remember so that we can heal. No, something about trauma is that memory may still be repressed in your subconscious mind. So when we experience these negative experiences. Let's say you were hurt by your parents or by your adults. That memory is repressed. Like the mind is trying to protect you from feeling the memory or from seeing the memory. So what it does is it represses it. Like it kind of forgets it so that it can protect you. Yeah, that's why even when we are doing therapy, like a client might say, wow, I now remember this and this, because now they're in a safe space to process those emotions. It's like they are unlocking those identities they put in place to protect themselves from those negative experiences. So some of these traumatic experiences, actually they are there in your subconscious mind, but they are not within your awareness. Like you are not aware of them because your conscious mind is protecting you from seeing what's buried deep inside in your basement, like in your subconscious mind. So these repressed memories are now what are dictating your beliefs and dictating your emotions and your thoughts. And these negative beliefs are drawing you to toxic relationships. So the fact that you don't remember childhood trauma doesn't mean that you didn't experience the trauma. It may just be repressed. It's just stuck in a compartment somewhere. It's just compartmentalized in a dark recesses of your mind. That's why always don't focus on I don't remember, but focus on why do I feel abandonment issues now? Why do I feel clingy? Why do I feel these extreme behaviors in my life? Why do I feel this inappropriate? Why do I feel like I keep attracting the same toxic relationship? Doesn't matter if you were traumatized or not. No, just focus on your current circumstances. Do you understand your boundaries? Do you feel that you are worthy of healthy relationships? Once you understand that, just know that all these things are beyond your level of awareness. The current awareness you have is the fact that you just know that you've been attracting toxic relationships, or you just feel that you have abandonment or attachment issues, and that's where now you go and seek help, or you just start exploring or doing self reflection about it. But the best thing to do is seek help when you feel something is off in your life. You don't understand it, you don't even know the root of it. Don't conclude, don't self-diagnose as a client, just seek professional help. And that's the work we do. Don't self-diagnose and say, me, my childhood was perfect, but you're in a toxic relationship. Contradictory. Just be honest with yourself and say, hey, I'm in toxic relationships and I even don't know why. Then seek help. Of course, as always, guys, you can book a free breakthrough call with me and I'll help you with even uncovering why you are feeling that way, or uncovering what's stopping you from getting to where you want to be. Until next time, guys, so always remember that you don't need to remember it for it to be traumatic, or you don't need to have experienced childhood trauma or severe childhood trauma for you to attract toxic relationships. Until next time, guys, have a wonderful day.